Hi, friends. It's us, and today we are going to talk about Sherlock Holmes, the BBC TV series, Season 3. Of course, I'm here with Steve from Steve Talks About Books and Stuff and his lovely wife, Brandy, and Jeff Lane, the author of so many wonderful books. The one I've read is One Way, and I highly recommend it. Let's go ahead and start episode by episode like we did last time. But before we get there, Steve, starting with you, what did you think of this season?
Probably my favorite season so far. I like this one the best. I thought it had a good mix of everything, and it was a little more grounded. So we'll get into specifics, but yeah, generally is my favorite.
Hey, Ashley. I felt the same way. I thought it was more exciting, and just the way it was filmed, I felt was a little different. And I don't know if that was maybe because last time we talked about watching the way it was filmed or the filming techniques. It was just good. And of course, funnier as it goes. It just keeps getting funnier, which I love. So.
Yeah, I liked it. I'm with Steve in that I felt that there were parts that were like more grounded, but then there were parts where it felt like everything was amped up a notch. So it's not just solving little small mysteries or, helping out the police. We've now gotten into kind of Mycroft's world and the bigger espionage, secret spy agent stuff, but then also grounded down with a lot of the more personal stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with all of you. This was definitely my favorite season, the first time I watched it and this time. Obviously this time I paid attention a little bit more than I had in the past. And I thought the humor was a little bit, I don't know if it's because the show started to get popular and they realized that more people from America were also watching it, but the humor seemed to be a better mix between both American and British humor, something I think would allow people to pick up a little bit more in your face on some of the jokes. And but I did notice that Sherlock becomes a little bit more human. I know that we'll talk about specifics later, that some of those things are kind of a trick, but his relationship with Watson is a little bit closer. He starts to turn. I don't know how else to explain it. If you read the books, there is a quote in there where John Watson, and this is in the earlier stories, where he talks about whether or not Sherlock is completely human. And it's funny because I think back in that time they didn't really have all the terms that we have today for some of these, sociopath and psychopath. It wasn't something that common people knew about. So that was kind of their way of the author's way of explaining, the kind of mentality that Sherlock has, that he just doesn't know how to interact with people in a normal way. And so Watson has, contemplates, like, I don't think he's entirely human, is what he kind of says, something like that. But in this season, I think that kind of changes. I felt a little bit warmer towards his character. How about you guys?
A little too warm, I'd have to say. I think he got a little too human. I mean, it wasn't bad or anything. It just, yeah.
But you never feel like if he's just doing it for show or for some other reason, or if he's actually,
Human.
being mushy, touchy-feely.
Yeah, to me it did feel like a progression. Like he's definitely learning, and even if he has to consciously kind of make himself act human, so maybe he doesn't feel it naturally, but he knows this is the time when I should try to act, more empathetic or more understanding. But then they were also contrasting that. There were times when he was completely like the other way. For instance, when John was trying to ask him to be his best man, like completely over his head, completely didn't get it, and struggled. And so we get to see Sherlock out of his element, trying to be that human and trying to make that make sense in his own head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I felt like when he did show those emotional moments, it looked almost painful for him. Like when he was doing that best man speech, I was sweating for him, and he just looked like he was in so much pain. Like it
That
was really
one of the-
uncomfortable.
That whole thing was one of the best. I was just cracking up the whole time, because he would have like these moments where it was like completely off the rails, like completely uncomfortable. Everybody in the reception is uncomfortable. And then he'd bring it around and you're like, oh, this is really touching. Like there were times when I'm not an emotional guy, but like there's something in the air, something, a little misty in there. But then he'd flip it and he'd like completely screw it up again because he didn't get it.
Yeah, totally agree, Ashley. And he does grow as a character in the stories as well. So it's neat to kind of see how they chose to have that the same type of character development as you see in the original materials. So I think that's what's so fun about reading it before watching the show, is to kind of see what the writers are thinking when they're creating these, because they're very different. The mysteries are very different in the episodes than they are from the stories. So you don't feel like you're just watching a reenactment of the original material, but the writers do kind of nod at the readers and give them a little bit of Easter eggs here and there, and it's fun. But okay, so let's get into some real spoilers and talk about each episode. So Jeff, your notes would come in handy here, right? So the first episode, I want to talk about the very first scene when you're getting a glimpse of, I can't remember that gentleman's name, but glimpse of what he thinks happened, how Sherlock faked his death, because at first you don't know you think that's what really happened. So what did you guys think of that scene? Because I have thoughts.
Well, dovetailing off what you were just saying about Sherlock's growth, there was a lot of character development for everybody that we've been seeing throughout the series, including, I think that's Detective Anderson. And he's gone completely 180 on Sherlock. He used to hate Sherlock, want to be a thorn in his side. And now he's like a Sherlock super fan. So I love that he's got a theory. He's in clubs he's in a club that has a bunch of theories. And that was when we were talking about at the end of last week's episode, we were going around seeing, what theories we had. And I think you said, we'll skip Jeff because he knows. But I was thinking, I don't think they ever really definitively give you an answer. And that was one of the things I loved about this episode, is they play with you so much that you think you're getting the answer. No, that was just somebody's theory. We think we're getting another answer. And then some really crazy ones where Sherlock and Moriarty are just playing a joke on John and making out on the roof. And it was just, so that was kind of one of the, I have a lot of admiration when, creators are very, very clever. And this was a great one. Nothing would have ever satisfied the audience. So just don't tell us. Let us go off into the sunset, not ever knowing how he did it.
Or have your own theories.
I was going to ask you guys, which one was the real one? But now I get it. I think they were just playing with us.
Yeah, I did like that they played with because the first one we got, I thought that's how he did it. And then it's kind of but then you start to learn that it was just theories. And I like that they don't tell us how exactly it happened. I think that was pretty neat.
That's awesome.
At first I was a little annoyed, and then by the end of the episode I was like, well, that's pretty cool.
Just tell me.
Yeah, I just want to know. But the one of with them on the roof and the rope and the cardboard cutout, where they're laughing and playing a joke on Watts, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I remember watching this in the original run and having to wait, I don't know, a year, 18 months, whatever it was in between seasons. So I was like you, Steve. I was a little frustrated. I've been waiting to figure this out, and then you never get it. But then I appreciated that in the end.
Yeah.
It was kind of the joke that we're just never going to reveal it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I obviously had seen this. Thank you, Epic.
Thanks, Epic.
I had seen this before, but even I couldn't remember. And obviously for a reason, I couldn't remember what they did. So when I was watching the episode, I thought that was the real thing. Like I was fooled once again into thinking that's what really happened. And so I was watching really closely. And then when he goes through the window and makes out with Molly, I was like, this is fake.
Yeah, I was like, when that happened, I was, yes, he kissed Molly.
You're the romance reader in you.
Yeah. Well, like,
I know, it was steamy.
But you found out that she was engaged or she was dating someone serious before that. So that's why I knew it was fake. Well, I guess she was still in love with Sherlock anyway.
Yeah, because her
She found a
fiance-
Sherlock clone to.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
I love that.
So moving further into the episode, that scene where Sherlock goes to see Watson for the first time and he acts as the waiter. So these were kind of the moments that I thought the humor was really a little bit more in your face, in not a bad way, but a little bit more obvious and not as subtle as it was in previous seasons. And I wonder what you guys thought of that, but I also wonder, do you think it was because the show became more popular and so they needed to appeal to a wider audience? Or do you think it was intentional that they just wanted to have more humor in the show? I'm just curious what you think, having seen all the other episodes before this.
I didn't pick up on the Americanization of the humor. That's a good catch, and it, probably plays into it. That this definitely was getting a global audience by this time. But I always find that shows get funnier to me the longer I know the characters. So you take things like Parks and Rec or Arrested Development. Like the longer into the run you get, things become funnier just because they're in jokes or they're playing off something you already know about the character. So I was thinking, just as I got more comfortable with the characters and as the writers got more comfortable with the characters, they were able to play with them a little bit more. But the Americanization part could absolutely be there. Plus, if you remember what was going on all throughout this time, this is when like the Marvel Cinematic Universe was getting big, and that was another big one where and some people critique it and say it's not necessarily a positive thing, that there's humor infused in all of the action and all of the fun and all of the adventure, that there's got to be humor beats every so often, to the point that some people say, why can't you have a superhero movie without, why can't it be more serious? Why do you have to joke every 2 seconds? But that's definitely obviously very popular and very marketable out in the entertainment world. So maybe they were kind of picking up on that zeitgeist as the time, and kind of humor is becoming more synonymous with action adventure, and so they had to kind of step up their game.
Yeah. I think Epic made a good observation about how Sherlock was used to emphasize, or how Molly was used to emphasize Sherlock's character. I didn't think of that until he had mentioned, but that was a good. And Epic, why aren't you on the stream with us talking about Sherlock?
Yeah.
But I didn't pick up on the Americanization of the humor until you mentioned it, Stacey, and it does make sense. And I think that in the beginning of the episode when he puts the mustache on and I thought that was kind of I didn't really land for me. It was kind of like, well,
Or that part where they were kind of doing the thing where one person in another scene would say something and then it would pick up in a different scene, finishing like the F word or something, with another. Fun. That was funny, but now that I think about it, that could be a little Americanized. Well, the F word anyway. No, maybe not. Gordon Ramsay says the F word all the time. But
it's the other words.
Yeah. Bloody.
We need Sean here so we could ask him what
where's Sean?
Oh no, where's Sean? The only things that I wanted to make sure I brought up are because I wanted to ask Sean questions about some of the slang in there. So hopefully he'll join us before the end, and I can ask him, because I thought some of the slang in here was hilarious. I watch a lot of British detective shows, but some of the things in here were just a little bit things that I hadn't heard before, or were used in a context I wasn't familiar with, and I just thought it was hilarious.
I noticed that a lot during the second episode, the wedding episode. There were a lot of, it seemed like British wedding traditions that I wasn't familiar with as an American, like the telegram part of people kind of giving the reason why they couldn't RSVP or whatever. So that was kind of fun. I always love to, as a kind of closet Anglophile, I love to see little cultural things like that.
Yeah.
So
I noticed. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna.
To what Jeff was saying. They say whenever it's Christmas, they keep saying Merry Christmas, and so I always say, I thought they said Happy Christmas over there.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't catch that. So I was just to bring us back to that scene. Steve, you said that that scene didn't hit with you, or not all the parts in that scene hit with you, but was there anything about it that because that whole scene I thought was hilarious, especially when he's talking to John and hinting at things, and John just doesn't, he's so engrossed in his own thoughts because he's about to propose, and he misses all of those clues. But the looks on Sherlock's face, like, God, that actor just does such a great job playing Sherlock, because that whole scene to me was so funny, because he was just, he even does this like flourishing thing, and then John doesn't even look up. It was great.
I will say there.
Thing, and then
Epic's joining.
That was fast.
That was a fast 10 minutes of it.
Ask for Epic and you get Epic.
So, hi guys, thank you for letting me into this. Thank you for adding me to this esoteric group of. I'm lagging a bit. Wow. Esoteric group of.
You probably have to turn off the stream.
I'm lagging a bit.
So that people hear it.
Okay.
I just thought it was because everything you were saying was so epic. We were trying to
did
hear
it
twice.
He has a constant echo that follows him everywhere.
So I'm just first of all, Cumberbatch, the person that played Sherlock's character, like he nailed it like perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched a lot of interpretations of the Sherlock Holmes thing, and I liked this dude that played Iron Man, like how he represented, how he showed how he played Sherlock Holmes, but Cumberbatch was like perfect.
And we know Stacey loves the movies, so.
But I've never seen the movie, so I'm gonna have to go watch those after this.
I haven't either.
They're like a Marvelized Sherlock Holmes. They kind of turn him into a superhero, and that I didn't care for it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you separate the character from the story of the movie, yes, I think that Robert Downey Jr. did a good job creating that particular version of Sherlock, and it was fun. But the stories were less detective stories. It was more,
there was a lot of flash.
Yeah. That's why I like the BBC TV show so much better, because it's more about the original story of Sherlock.
Yeah, and it focuses more on his mind, and it's more there are more like elements of like detective work,
Mm-hmm.
Something I really like. So I've watched the whole thing top to bottom. So I don't know if does it end? Does it stop at season 3?
I think there's a fourth.
No, season 4.
There's a 4th season. But like, what do you guys think of Sherlock's relationship with Moriatti? That was like really well done, and I really like this version of Moriatti, because even like in the original stories, there's this intellectual thing that's always going on between them. Like Moriarty is like his, I don't know, intellectual equal in some ways, and it's like the back and forth, like the mind games that's going, is just like really interesting. It's really interesting to like get into it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And is he back at the end of the season? It looks like.
Oh
he
yeah,
might be
what's
coming
going on?
back.
So, I didn't watch season 4, so I don't even know what happens. I'm gonna be surprised.
Oh,
season 4.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
So
don't say anything of it.
all these theories about what happened on the rooftop, maybe Moriarty didn't really die. I don't
I don't know. I don't actually. I'm sorry, man. I don't know, but like, I don't know where you guys, because I watched the whole thing like several times, so I'm a bit mixed up as where season 3 ends. Could you just like remind me so I'm careful not to spoil anything?
So season 3 ends where they Sherlock shoots that, what was his name? Magnuson, to stop him from sharing his mind palace information with people.
Okay.
And then when Sherlock gets on the plane, to go to Eastern Europe, they bring him back because Moriarty, or they assume Moriarty's back because just his face shows up on the screen and he said, "Miss me."
Every screen in London.
Every screen, yeah.
Yeah.
Moriarty's face, but it's glitchy. Ashley says, "Ooh, just wait."
I know, right? Ashley knows what I'm talking about. Like, I think the next one is also really good. But I'll just, to be safe, I'll let you guys lead the conversation and I'll just throw comments.
So where were we, Steve?
Oh, I was the restaurant scene where he comes back, I thought was a little out of character for him. It didn't seem like it fit. It was a little too much embellishment, I guess. It seemed a little out of character, but I guess it kind of works in the context of the season, how he starts to open up a little bit. But at the time, it was kind of it was fine. But
this is a guy though that shows up to Buckingham Palace naked with just a sheet around him, so a mustache in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta wonder, Steve, if maybe because Sherlock had spent 2 years away, he knew, John was, I think maybe he had a fear that John would react poorly, so he was doing all that to cover up his own anxiety, just to kind of play. I don't know, it's maybe reading into it, but
no, it makes sense. Yeah.
I will say that is the Martin Freeman, like that scene when he realizes it's Sherlock at the table, like that right there was Emmy-worthy. Like, and some of John's like speech patterns, things like that, kind of bump me a little bit. He's a little bit too stuttery, stammery when he's getting emotional. But that scene, when it clicks that it's Sherlock and he's alive, and just like you can feel his heart like seize up at that moment. I just thought Martin Freeman did a really good job of that.
Oh, yeah, I have to agree there. Yeah.
They won a bunch of awards, didn't they, for this series?
Did they? I don't know.
I thought they did.
They
I
should.
wouldn't be surprised.
They didn't.
Yeah, they deserve to. What were your guys' first impressions of Mary?
My very first impression when she showed up at the restaurant and the first thing she said to him is, "What did you want to talk about?" I was like, okay, either they're really close or their relationship isn't as close as he thinks. Because I was like, if you're showing up at a date with somebody, you don't sit down and go, "So what did you want to talk about?" Unless you're really close to them and you probably were just texting or something, and so it's like carrying on a conversation you've already been having, or you're not. She doesn't care that much, and so she's like, "I'm here because I just want to know what you needed to talk about." What did you think?
I started to think, oh great, another one of John's girlfriends, or and then I sort of started to like her as I saw how she kind of would put Sherlock in his place.
Yeah.
I had no idea she was going to be what she was. But I liked, too, how that whole scene where she's trying to get Sherlock out and she's trying to get John out, and then she's standing there going like this, one side to this guy. I thought that was so – I really like this girl.
I think that's what I noticed about her, too. She was a very, like, full, fleshed-out character. The more screen time she got, the more you're like, she's smart. She's got a good like sense of humor about John, and like I thought she was a good match for John, and I was instantly endeared to the character, thinking like, oh, she's not just a one-dimensional new girlfriend for John. She had a lot of complexity.
Yeah, compared to his other like past relationships, like I feel like she fit in with the group much better. And I really enjoyed her putting Sherlock in his place. For a change, because Sherlock is just like completely clueless about like social cues and everything, and for someone to like put him in his place like that was interesting to watch.
And he actually seemed like he liked it. He was endeared to her too.
Yeah, like he was impressed by her ability to like be assertive with him, because he doesn't get that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's what John needed, was somebody that understood their relationship.
Yeah.
And instead of thinking that they were a third wheel, she really, inserted herself in that relationship, became part of that, if that makes sense.
I do like how Mrs. Hudson was very surprised when John said he was getting married, that it was to a woman.
Yeah. That's great.
Oh my god.
Listen. And then him just, I'm not gay.
Yeah, that was good.
That was so funny.
She had some really good moments too in this
Yeah.
episode, or the whole season, but really this episode had some good one-liners.
Mm-hmm.
The cast for this show was so good. Like, the cast for this show was really good, and I don't know if it's because it was filmed by British people, because they really like understand, like, get the essence of Sherlock Holmes. But like the cast, and everyone just like fit in. Like, the story is really, really good. It's one of, like, I've watched it several times, because there are times when I watch it again, like I just pick up on things I missed before here and there, like some subtle things there, So it's like it definitely has rewatchability. It's very, very watchable.
For
You
sure.
need to watch or read the books and then rewatch the show, Epic, because there's some Easter eggs.
Yeah. The show itself is some of the cases that he solves, they were in the book, but then they kind of just modernized it. They kind of like made a modern, like put a modern twist to it, and put some embellished it a little bit here and there. But if you read the books, the original books, like you can definitely see, okay, this is this scene or this episode is just like this book that they've reimagined for a more modern audience in a modern world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fun. So the end of episode 1 of this season, when they're in the train car, that scene where John, pours out his heart and soul because he thinks he's about to die, and then Sherlock laughs at him.
This is one of those moments too where, I would have guessed he was doing that. He was messing with him, but I'm like, no, this show doesn't do that stuff. Something else can happen. So it was good though.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I do like how the bomb just had an off switch.
They always have an off switch.
It's like,
But
Yeah,
did
there
you
was so much kind of leading up to that too. One of my most cringy like TV movie tropes is the shot in the neck, the injection in the neck. Oh, I hate that. When they kidnap John and I can't stand the needle in the neck. Stop.
I forgot that happened in the
Yeah.
first episode. So much happened in that first episode, and you didn't get any answers about that, like what happened and how he got there, until later on in the season. So it's like I had forgotten all about that happening right away.
And this series it starts to get in that pattern where there's a case, there's something they have to solve, but there's some bigger nefarious person in the background. And that was, we got glimpses of that, like when John was stolen and put in the Guy Fawkes bonfire. We didn't know how that all fit in and how, what that was. And then at the very end, we get someone like watching the film of that happening. So you've got the setup for, it's a big bad for the season.
I thought if you look at the overall season, that the pacing was a little off, because the first episode was very intense and the second episode was very intense. The middle one was kind of just a play. If that makes sense. It wasn't when I say play, I literally mean it was all like one single act. There was no breaking apart of different things happening. And it was kind of closer to the original season where you had one thing that was happening, one mystery, and it all kind of happened in a single act. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I can see that.
I kind of like that structure, because if you stay at one level all the time, then that just becomes, it's like, going to the movies nowadays when movies are just like all action, all CGI, all like you need quiet beats so the exciting beats kind of stand out more. And if that's all that episode was, just a little bit of a quieter beat, a little bit of the personal stuff, that's fine. But then unknowingly, it set up so many things for the third episode.
Yeah, like I really like when it's like when I'm watching something and there's a rise and a fall and a rise and a fall. It's like I don't know, like I'm a writer as well, so there's a thing about like an orchestra where you're trying to play on the emotion of like the viewer or the reader. So like I of course, like it's and it's also very difficult to keep the same intensity. And part of being able to like keep the intensity for like a watcher or like a writer is to like show contrast in like the tone and the pace of the stuff. So it makes the show more enjoyable if you like when you're experiencing it in a more holistic way.
Yeah, I felt like it really made this season seem like one big movie. So that middle part was just like the meat in the middle of the movie.
Yeah,
I just felt like it continued. So it wasn't like different episodes to me. I'm kind of, having a hard time figuring out which episode was which just in my brain, because it just felt like it flowed the whole 3 episodes so well.
Yeah, and like at the times when like it's not as intense and the pace is not moving as fast, like there's they're setting up little things here and there, like strategically like placing some events and like hinting at things that could happen. So like when the intensity rises up again, it's like it hits even extra hard. Yeah.
I want to pause really quick and just welcome Sean to the show. Glad you can make it on.
Guys, I didn't pick up on the new start time, and I can't stay. I'm making my family's dinner right now. I'm really sorry. I didn't pick up on it. Fish pie, in case you're interested.
I'm interested.
Hi, Epic Towers. How do you do? We haven't met before. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing, man? Nice to meet you.
I'm good. Yeah, you too, fella.
So I just like showed up, man. I came here. I saw people I love. I was like, they're like, "Oh, why aren't you here?" I'm like, "Okay, I'm joining right now." I changed, and I made it, and I'm happy I did. Nice. I
love this crowd, but I just can't stay. I'm very sorry. My son and my wife came back in 5 minutes, and I've got dinner going in the oven, and I didn't realize. I saw your tweet, and I thought, what have I done? I've missed the start time. I'm really sorry, guys.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one, Sean. Now you make me feel better.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got to hang up. I'm really sorry, guys.
Thanks for jumping in anyway.
Send the recipe.
Bye.
Yeah. I've got so many notes. So many notes.
Bye.
Bye, Sean.
Bye.
We also have Andrew here in the chat. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, Andrew.
Andrew.
My boy.
And, Ashley, Sean's already gone, but Ashley wanted some of his fish pie.
I will say that when I think of this second episode, when I thought about it afterwards, I think of only the wedding parts of it, like the just in that yellow reception hall and all. But there was a lot of complexity to this, and a lot of things. Like there's the whole Sherlock kind of coming to grips with that this will change things. That his relationship with John will change, and he's kind of like resistant against that. And then there's the whole stag night, Sherlock having plans to like mathematically figure out, measure the amount of beer, and then John ruins it by throwing shots in the mix. And is it Brandy? You're the one who's always picking up on music, right? You pick up on the music cues. The music during that part was funny because the music got a little drunk too as the night went on. And then they solve a case, the Mayfly Man case as part of it. Then there was also that great montage where all these other cases that you just want to know more about. You know, the thing with like the glowing matchbook, like or the matchbox, what is that? And then just all these little like the Invisible Man sitting in the chair. And some of that came back around and had meaning, and some of it didn't. But there was like humor in that one. And some of the best like deductive scenes when he's giving his speech and he jumps over the table to like he's keeping everybody, he's trying to string the audience along while he's trying to eliminate and doing the Mind Palace thing live with Mycroft in his head and all of that. This one might have been my favorite episode of the season of the series.
This is one where I noticed the filming a little more too, especially when they were drunk. Them talking to the lady and trying to do her case. The filming was blurry.
Yes.
Like they were drunk, we were drunk with them. I felt drunk.
Yes. That's like really, really amazing camera work. That is really amazing camera work and editing too. Like it's just like, and like it's the way when they did it like that, you can't be distracted. Like someone can't distract you because it's just like you're experiencing it with them.
Yeah.
Steve, what did you think of episode 2?
Episode 2 was the one.
The wedding where he's doing the bachelor.
The wedding. Yeah.
Or the speech, the best man speech.
Yeah, it all kinds of goes together. I like the Mind Palace parts of that. I thought the Mind Palace, the way they did it in this season was a little bit better than the second season. It seemed a little more, I don't know, grounded, I guess. It wasn't as fantastical. It was a little more. So yeah, the moments at the end when Sherlock is kind of spilling his guts to Watson and Mary.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty well done, and you could tell at the end he was really uncomfortable with all that.
Yeah.
It was cute.
So a little bit like side something. You know that like anyone can create a mind palace. Like I watched like a thing on how to create it. You just have to so have you ever gone to your room and without looking you know where stuff is in your room? Okay, so it's like this. I'll just talk about it real quick, but it's really interesting. That's why I bring it up. Well, basically all you have to do is so go outside, pick a rock, and hold the rock, feel it, like close your eyes, feel it, smell it, everything, like interact with the rock, like put that in your mind, and then like just keep that there on the side. Then go to your room and arrange things so well that like even in the dark you can be like, okay, this is where my lamp is, this is where my book is, this. So memorize like your room arranged in a very specific way. And then like in the dark, this is the weird part of it, in the dark, like you touch something and you associate it with a memory, and you associate it with the memory, and then when you practice it a while, it feels like nothing is happening. But after you do it for a while, you stop, and let's say you want to remember something, you just go to the ground and pick up a rock, smell it, feel it, and everything, and then like you associate, you just connect associations with it, and then you can you can do that. And then after you can actually train yourself to have like really, really amazing memory. Once you've associated all the items in your room with something, then you can now add one item one at a time, and when you add another item, you associate it with another memory. So it's like, yeah, so like I read like a book on how to do that first, and when I was watching Sherlock Holmes, there was this extra element of like, yeah, her husband has like a mind palace. Yeah, it's really interesting to do, and you can like you can train your memory to be as sharp as someone like with a photographic memory.
It's really
I
funny.
looked in Ashley's husband's mind palace. Mine's like a pub tent with 2 old comic books and a deck of cards. It's like missing 3 of them.
It's actually also the secret of how magicians do like a card. You can reach a level where like you can just spread a deck of cards like that and just associate it with like 52 things. You have 52 cards in the deck, right?
Right.
You can associate all 52 cards with something in your room and close it, and you know the position, and you just like bam, like that, and drop it, and you know the position of every card.
It's crazy.
That's
I
so
saw a TV show, I think it's called like Brainchild or something like that, and they talked about that, about creating they don't call it a mind palace, but the same kind of concept that Epic was talking about. And this guy actually demonstrates it, and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Brandy?
Oh, I was just gonna say, it's like that's the second time that's come up for us this week, non-Sherlock related. We were having a discussion with Richard Nell about his Ash and Sand trilogy, and he brought up the Mind Palace and how it is a technique. And so I thought that's so fascinating that that's a thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah, I used to try to do it before, and I kind of have one, but it's very shaky. I
find myself empathizing with Sherlock in that my hard drive has run out of space, so it's deleted off the back end.
You have a lot on that hard drive, Jeff.
Yes.
Ashley, your husband is a homicide detective?
Oh, he needs the Mind Palace.
Yes,
Yeah.
he needs to be here so that he can verify the authenticity of some of the procedure and everything. That would be really interesting, actually.
So
Ashley's
Ashley's husband is Lestrade.
Does he watch Sherlock,
He
Ashley?
does, right?
Oh, that's a good
Yeah,
question.
what does he think of Sherlock?
Right. Does he sit there and go, that's not real. That can't happen.
That's not how it happens.
Only nerds will believe that stuff.
So let's talk about how season 2 or episode 2 ended. I mean, we talked a little bit about how Sherlock, pours his heart out to Watson, and oh wait, hold on. He does like it. I guess he watches it.
Oh, he made her watch it.
He made me watch it.
Oh.
She's like, this is what I do all day.
Yeah. Sherlock doesn't have anything on me. Like,
I'm the real deal.
Yes,
yeah, I have read the books as well.
Stacy has too.
I haven't read
Long
all
time
of
ago,
the
but-
short stories, but I've read all of the novels and the first short story collection. What's funny is in episode 2 where they're showing Sherlock's telling them about all their different cases, those little montages. Some of those I recognized from the short stories.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that because I thought Stacy. I think we talked about it.
Yeah, we
were I thought Stacy knows those cases, and I did like how they threw them in, but it wasn't. It would count as just a taste.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too much, but then it kind of came around, and it still made sense.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna read after this and do a rewatch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so much fun.
It's so much fun. Yeah, it's so much fun.
The part in, was it the first? I can't remember. I think it was the first episode with the hat. One of the clients left the hat behind, and he asks Watson to deduce what he knows from the hat. Oh no, it was Sherlock was talking to his brother, right, Mycroft. There's a story where he's testing Watson, and it's a cane, and he's trying to get Watson to figure out who the client is from the cane, everything he knows. And so I thought that was cool how they had something similar in the show. That's what I was saying I liked so much, is it's just a hint of the book. It's not, if you watch the show, it's a whole new experience. You don't feel like you're just watching an adaptation.
But like, I feel like there was episodes that were actually like they were done. They were kind of like reshaped into, like, if you read like some of the crimes they solved in a book, they just like changed things here and there, but like I could still recognize like the same line of like thinking and like clues that they found to like piece everything together.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to episode 3. What you guys think about the start? So we kind of got an idea at the end of episode 2. Watson's moving out, he's married now. What's going to happen to Sherlock? And so then we get into episode 3, and Sherlock's missing. And Watson finds him in the crack house, as we'd say here in America. But that's one of the things I want to ask Sean.
I know.
Is smackers. So that's I've never heard of that term before for drug addicts. Smackers.
Yeah.
I think this was specific to heroin, right? So Sherlock seems to have an opioid addiction. So he's insisting that it's for being undercover and going in for a case. But I think that was more like a heroin den or or something. But, and then morphine seems to be an issue throughout this episode as well, because he gets shot. He's looking for morphine and he turns it up and turns it back down. And so that's an interesting aspect of this character that we got introduced way back in season 1. We knew there was something in the background, and now we see him struggling with it or potentially doing it on purpose so he can get in the papers, so it puts his enemy off kilter. Never can tell with Sherlock.
Yeah, you never know.
I felt maybe like the timing was a little convenient too, being that his life just changed so much. His best friend got married and is now having a baby, and all of a sudden he finds himself in the smack den.
Yeah.
You see something like that is very it's very consistent with very intelligent people, a proneness to addiction to drugs, because it's kind of how can I shut my mind down, how can I have a different experience, because someone with Sherlock Holmes' character that has everything figured out or can't figure everything out in a moment like that, it's consistent with his character. It's consistent with the characters of people that that have high intellect and are looking for some sort of escape from the constant analyzing they do in their minds. Because I worked at at an addiction place for a while, so I read all those books, and it makes sense. I was very interested to see how when they added that is actually a thing.
That makes so much sense.
That was interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
I do like how it was everybody else's reaction to Sherlock's using again. That was interesting too. Molly slapped him, and people were so disappointed in him. And then he's acting very cagey, don't go in my bedroom. And you think this is probably how a user or an addict would be, and it their friends are so upset and so affected. Then come to find out, he was not hiding drugs in his bedroom, but he was hiding Janine, the maid of honor.
I thought that was funny. I did not expect it, considering how they were in the second episode. That he was, and it made me question, what is he up to? Because he was not interested in her at all. Well, he is even interested in a relationship, and then here he is. Thought that was funny.
Yeah, that whole relationship. Are they going to make him have a girlfriend now? And I loved how it turned out, because Sherlock can't have a girlfriend and he's all lovey-dovey with her. But then when she'd get up and leave, he'd make faces behind her back and stuff.
Because she walks out at one point, and he's all smiles, and the minute her back is turned, he's he's
yeah. That was hilarious.
If you're gonna have a girlfriend, it's got to be Molly, right? We can't get that. Right. Let's go unremarkable.
Or Miss Hudson.
For someone who has watched the whole thing, I'm just gonna be quiet. Interesting.
I think the third episode was my favorite of the whole. You said, Jeff, that the second one was your favorite. I think the third one was mine.
Yeah, we do see a little bit more of the PTSD effects that Watson has, but I'd like to see more of that throughout the whole. I think we saw a little bit in the first episode, the first few scenes that focus heavy on that, but I think it'd be a good thing to explore. And we'll see if it explores it more, but that was an interesting take on it.
I also get a little bit more.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I liked how he took that Bill, the junkie, down. I didn't expect that. He's like, "Let me help you," and he walks over to him. I was like, "Who does Watson think he is?" And then he just whipped that guy's butt. He's like, "I'm used to a higher, what do you say, higher type of criminal or something
Yeah.
like that, or intelligent criminal.
I love too how that guy turned out to be Sherlock's sort of assistant in a lot of ways, and he knew what he was doing. He was actually useful.
He's a protege.
Yeah, I loved that.
It's here and there.
So like I hate to like always like draw it out, compare like how the show is with like real life and everything, but like every time I'm watching something, like because like I'm a writer, like I'm always like trying to see like how accurate it is. I'm thinking of what's going on in the writer's mind. But like to what you said there about like Watson's OCD, there's some psychoanalysis stuff that when you read about it, like that kind of neurosis, that kind of like OCD neurosis is kind of like it's a thing that's consistent with people that have PTSD. That neurosis is like kind of like a way to protect the mind from emotional pain, like when you look deeper into it. But like Watson having that kind of OCD is also very accurate. And this is what I was saying earlier about like the show. It's just so good. It's so if you're whether you can enjoy it whether you are informed about all these little things here and there or not. But if you're informed about all of it, it's just like you just get drawn into it because the way it represents stuff like that, and it has all those elements there. It makes it so interesting. Like it's just like really good. But I like the fact that you pointed it out because it's like you could just like brush over that as Watson's character. But like I like the fact that you notice that small thing. That's why I watch your channel.
You were saying something, Jeff?
I was gonna say that the druggy character Bill, that fancies himself as Sherlock's protege, even though Sherlock's like, no, you're not. I was like, where do I know this actor from? So I pull up IMDb while I'm watching it, and he was one of the angels in Preacher. So if you've never seen AMC's Preacher,
Oh,
I haven't.
I do recognize him from that.
sounds
Is
like
it he with the
AMC?
what's that?
AMC?
AMC, yeah. Preacher was a great show. I think we're in 3 or 4 seasons. Really well done. But he plays an angel character that keeps getting killed
Check
a
it out.
lot.
Not to get too far off, but Jeff, you've read Preacher, right?
I haven't, but I people keep telling me I need to.
Yeah, you need to read it.
The books are better.
Have you read? You haven't finished
I read
it.
the first. I read one of the first
Oh.
ones.
They're graphic novels, right?
I have a hard time with graphic novels though, but for what it was much better than the show. Whatever I did read, I didn't make it through all of them. I didn't make it through a lot of it, but
Have you guys
enough
seen
to
the
make-
show?
You see the show?
yeah, we kind of what we say in reading land, we DNF'd it.
Oh,
I heard a lot of people that liked the graphic novel didn't like the first season, and then when it got into the second season, they said it fell more in line with what the graphic novel was.
Yeah, but that could be a whole nother conversation. But yeah,
Didn't mean to do it.
Steve has
no,
thoughts.
I do real. Yeah, I have thoughts on it. But I'm sorry,
I
Stacey.
see a Preacher video in his future.
I didn't even know it was a book. I hadn't even heard of it, so I'm gonna have to look it up.
What?
Neither have I. I'm sorry.
Is this something I should know about?
Killing me. It is really good.
So, so we're gonna get to this point. What did you think when it turned out Mary was the person or turned out to be a completely different person altogether? Did you guys catch that when you were watching it for the first time?
Nope.
I've forgotten about it watching it for the second time, but I did pick up on little things like she's just so smart. Like she knew what skip tracing or what skip code was or whatever when John, they were getting those texts about John being in the bonfire in the second episode. So I was like, oh, she's just so smart. And I kind of blocked it out of my mind that she was this like secret agent, assassin person with a past kind of thing. And then when it came around again, I was like, oh yes, now I remember.
That is how good the show is. You said the second time you're watching it, you completely forgot about it, eh? that is how good the show is. Like, because it's like, how can you like such a big plot thing? Like, how could you forget and watch it and experience those emotions again? You know, it's a testament to how good it is.
Yeah.
And the moment that Sherlock gets shot and he goes to his mind palace, and that whole thing was really cool.
Yeah.
I loved how they did that. That was really
fall
neat.
backward, telling him just the right way to fall.
How to breathe and
Not going to shock and yeah, it's good.
And
That
then
was really
when he's in that room with Moriarty again. Oh my God, that actor does such a good job. He plays crazy very well.
I forgot he'd come back around again. So every minute he's on the screen, I'm like, I love that actor. He's so good.
He really creeped me out in this one. That just
It's what's it? Adam Scott? Something.
I don't know.
I should know this one.
That's good.
He's really good.
Yeah. But that, and then when he says that, when he basically dies, Sherlock dies, and then Moriarty says John's going to be in danger, and then you could see there that connection that he has. The only person he really cares about, other than a few others, but truly, the only person he cares about is John, and that comes into play later on when that Magnuson says that the way to get to Mycroft was in this order because he had to find something on each person. So the only person that Mycroft cared about was his brother, and then down the line. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Pressure points.
Yes.
Yeah. I was trying to think in my head, what was he calling them again? Pressure points.
And then it turned out to be I don't know about you guys, even the second time around, I thought it was the glasses too, that he was, somehow connecting to a computer. And then when it turned out to be his own mind palace, I was like, what?
Because even in the beginning, when he's in that big room with all those, I guess it was at Parliament, or he's being interviewed by some sort of officials, and he takes his glasses off, and then he puts them back on, and then he sees her pressure points, so it makes you even think it's his glasses.
Yeah,
someone's feeding him the information, or so. Yeah, I was totally fooled by that. But then as soon as the reveal came that it was just his own mind palace, I had the first thought that Sherlock did. I was like, well, then there's one way to get rid of it all if none of this stuff really exists.
I was thinking, you're stupid for telling them.
Yeah.
It's about 3 pounds of gray mush that all you have to do is get rid of that.
Yeah, you're dead now.
Yeah, I kind of thought that he revealed that because he was so confident that he outsmarted them, so he didn't feel like he was threatened or anything by them. So he was just like, it's because he thought he had them. And Sherlock had that look on his face like, oh, I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
I think Watson even asked him, what's the plan? Or what are we
Tell me there's a plan.
Yeah.
He was confident, too, that Mycroft was on his way to get rid of Sherlock, too.
That's true.
Same for me.
Yeah, those season finales always leave you on a cliffhanger, and it's coming. You're going to just be left in the lurch until you can pick up with the next season again. But we go through all the pain anyway.
We're lucky that we get to binge them, watch them whenever we want.
Yeah.
I did not like the. Are we going to the end of the season? Is that
Hound of Baskerville? Is that what you're talking about?
Baskerville, yeah, Baskerville. I think so. Duberville. But that was a nice attempt, though.
Duberville is right next to the Smacker house. It's Duberville right next to
Hey, Ashley, a good way to avoid misspelling in the chat is to just be on stream with us. And
Yep.
We've gotten her to do something.
To be honest, anytime I'm chatting, anytime I'm like on a live stream or like even on Discord, when I'm just like typing, I'm just like looking at my spelling because like I'm a writer, I cannot be called out on my spelling, Like I go to Google, I'm like, okay, yes, it's right. Enter.
Yeah.
Ashley doesn't have a mind palace she couldn't remember. It's okay.
I think that's why we have the calendar.
That's Steve's mind palace.
My mind palace.
His calendar.
I did want to ask what you guys thought of the expanded Holmes family, because now we're getting throughout the season we got more of Mycroft, and we see Mycroft's involved at the very highest levels of government, and that now he's a target for people. But then we also see Sherlock's parents. I think they came in in an earlier episode, and it seemed very normal, very ordinary. First, you think they're clients; they set it up.
Yeah, I loved that.
And then the mom's just explaining how they couldn't find the remote or whatever.
Yeah, and he's just so mean to her, like he is to the clients. And then as he's shoving her out the door, I kind of started to feel like this is his mom, I think. But I loved how they made it seem like they were these old clients, and he was just treating them like all the other imbeciles that come in with these weird cases.
And that was
and then
really-
when
that
he
was
told
really
them to leave, it's
I
like they were
laughed
just
so hard at that.
That was
Then
really
we
fun.
get to spend Christmas at their house, which I thought was really nice. You see Mycroft and Sherlock in a more familial situation versus just, saving the world. Now they're out sneaking cigarettes from their mom, and
Yeah.
They had their Christmas cigarette.
that's right, another Christmas cigarette. That's a good point. But and then we did have this one kind of touching moment where Mycroft mentions that there's MI6 wants Sherlock for a mission, but he estimates that he'd be dead within 6 months, and he would kind of not like that. And I was kind of like, oh, Mycroft actually kind of likes Sherlock. So, oh yeah, I agree with Ashley. The Christmas scene was definitely one of my favorites. And Bill's hovering around, like, why are you here?
So there's a part where Sherlock and Watson are leaving the house with the computer, and Sherlock is telling Watson about what's going to happen. And he's listing all these dangerous things. And John says, but it's Christmas. And Sherlock's I was thinking oh, you mean really Christmas. And I was like, that is so typical Sherlock. He's like, yes, it's Christmas morning for me. All this dangerous stuff. I was thinking the same thing. That was so funny.
Oh, really Christmas, yeah. I like that it was also what we asked John if he brought his gun. Why would I bring my gun to your parents' house for Christmas? So it's in your jacket? Yeah.
That's what I was saying about the humor. There's just, it was a little bit more obvious for just this casual viewer versus, us nerds.
That's a good observation. I didn't even think about that until you mentioned it. It does seem a little bit more on the nose, but not in a bad way. I thought it was
still good. It was still good humor, but it did just make it that much funnier because we caught all of the obvious humor and then some of the subtle humor as well, because we're all so super smart.
One thing I think I missed the first time around that I caught this time when after Sherlock and John are captured and Mycroft is kind of advocating for why, we keep Sherlock around. He's, and they ask him, this isn't just some misplaced, brotherly love type of thing. And Mycroft explains, he's not given to outbursts of brotherly affection. And he says, what happened to the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I caught that.
Yeah, I don't. Interesting.
I heard it, but I thought I misheard it, and I didn't think to rewind it. Like I heard that, and then I was like, I must have misunderstood.
I caught that, and I thought, but maybe that's coming.
Yeah.
Well, in the books, they have a sister.
There's also on Netflix. There's a film, Enola Holmes, who plays 11 from Stranger Things.
I watched the first season. It was okay. Actually, I think it's a movie. I don't think it's.
Yeah, I think it is a movie. Yeah, that's right.
Movie. Yeah, I thought it was okay.
It's got Superman and.
I don't know why.
He plays Mycroft.
Oh, super.
I know. I'm not saying anything. I'm just watching, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm just.
Face kind of
I'm
like.
saying yes. I'm trying to keep a zen face,
I'm gonna start season 4 like right after we get out.
And are you guys gonna have a stream for that as well?
Yes.
Yeah. That one I will enjoy more because there's so much I want to say, but I'm just like, okay, sure. I'm just watch here, and yeah.
Well, everybody's invited. Epic, Ashley, anybody else who's watching. If you want to join for the final stream where we will talk about all of the seasons and no spoilers. We don't have to worry about spoiling it for anybody.
Yeah.
Just RSVP at the creepingdeath.org forum. I don't have it on there right now, but I'll go ahead and add it today right after the stream. We'll decide before we log off what day works best for everybody. Yeah, Ashley, he's definitely invited too.
Yes.
That would be so interesting if like we had like an actual homicide detective here, like that would just like elevate the whole conversation. I have questions to ask too.
Does he wear a hunter's hat?
Only when he goes out to meet the press.
Oh, that was good too when
That was
Sherlock
funny.
was out there and he puts the hat on.
I laughed so hard. I laughed. There were so many moments in the season where I laughed so hard, and sometimes my family wasn't laughing. I was laughing at everything. So funny.
Steve was tired, so he doesn't know how to
My
laugh when
son
he's
sits
tired.
next to me, just it's so funny.
Loved all the mustache humor on the first episode and
Okay.
John's mustache.
I was cracking up.
All the Mrs. Hudson humor when you found out more about like just about her past and her husband ran a drug cartel and
Yeah.
That whole part where he's messing with the eyeballs and then he drops it in his tea, the eyeball, and then he takes a sip of the tea. I was laughing so hard. It's so funny.
That was so gross.
And it's like all these weird body parts show up in the fridge or in your tea. It's so funny.
Like real quick, and I apologize, like real quick, but like Jeff, do you have like a book chip channel?
I don't.
Oh, you don't. Okay, so do you have a blog or anything? Like I like what you notice and how you articulate yourself. Like, how can I support?
He has his books.
I'm on Twitter. I don't do much though. I should. I got to get with the kids nowadays and do stuff online. But
Oh, okay.
So Jeff, I don't know if you know Epic. Jeff is a writer. He has he's got some books out.
They're really good.
So Jeff, go ahead, self promote. I'll give you 30 seconds.
Yeah.
30 seconds. So just check me out on Amazon.com. Follow me at World of Jeff Lane or at Writer Jeff Lane, and or basically anywhere you get books online or podcasts if you want the audio versions of my books.
Okay. Are you the indie author that Steve spoke about? That you? Oh my God! I have so much to ask you. My God, like I have some. I want to do my own stuff too, and like that was like the initial idea I had for mine, but then like I didn't know where to start, how to start, so I didn't. Just let me know your book. I'll review it on my channel. I'm
Cool.
really,
Yeah,
really,
His podcasts or
His podcasts are the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Jeff narrates his own podcast.
I love it. So you guys see what I don't want to talk about myself, but like you saw what I did for like Prince of Thorns, like the narration part. I want to do that for Cradle of Chaos, my book. So like 100% is part, but I want like a core of like I want my core to be YouTube because but like I'm really interested. Like it made when Steve did the whole thing about like indie authors and everything, and he mentioned that I was just like, wow, like I need to check these guys out, so I'm going to check it out. I'm going to review your channel, I'm going to review your book, and support.
Cool. Somebody send me his contact info, and I'll be in touch.
100%. Like I'll get your details from. Oh yes, the detective is coming. Yes, let's be dope. But like I'll get your details from Stacy or Steve. Like I have direct communication with them, so we'll do something, and maybe I can interview you as well if you're down for that.
And we're not just saying nice things about him because he's here. We really do enjoy his books.
Yes.
And the podcast too.
No. Like if Steve says a book is good, you can just drop everything you're doing and pick up that book. So I trust his recommendations. I trust Stacey's as well. So like I'm sure I'll enjoy it. And like I don't have like a huge audience like that yet, but I will review your book on my channel, and I will enjoy reading it. I like the journey of the indie author. It's a nobility. There's an originality with it. You cannot like it. It's your work is unblemished by like what people think it should be. It is exactly what you think, your vision and your vision alone, and I respect that. But
totally agree.
Yeah,
thanks to Steve for doing that indie author shout out. That was really cool because as for us indie authors out there, it's all about, we all write books, whether we're Stephen King or Dan Brown or an indie author. That part of the process is, you just do it. But then getting people to find you is so difficult, and there's a barrier that some people put in their minds that, like, well, if they're not like officially published, then it's probably not any good. So just, the recognition that Steve and others put out there to say, look, there's some really good gems out there. Just because it's indie doesn't mean it's not a great book.
Now I'm more interested in it now that I know it's indie. Like I'm more interested now that I know it's indie, and like building an audience through podcasts is such a good idea, because the bigger that podcast becomes, the more like those your listeners will want to read your book, and like you get brilliant idea. I think we should go back to Sherlock Holmes, but I will get your details. I will get your details, and I'd really, really love to work with you in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
So Steve has another live stream coming up in a half hour. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. So any of you guys watching, go watch Steve's next live video on his channel. He's going to be discussing Cold Comforts with the author. So I didn't read it, but I will read it.
Me either. Stacy's keeping me busy with other things.
I'm keeping her busy. So let's do final thoughts about the show, and then we could talk about when we want to do the final live stream. All right, start with you, Steve.
My favorite season, probably, of the three so far. I liked it had a good mix. It was all the characters had enough time. I liked Sherlock, his evolution. I like the Mind Palace parts, especially when he was shot. That was really neat. I like that. I like the break from Moriarty.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a nice break. He was still around, but he was into the forefront. It was a nice break from him, even though I like that character. Need a little break, but overall, I really liked it. I don't love the end of the third episode.
With Moriarty and
how the plane flies off and then it goes right back.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of goofy, but I get it. It had to happen. But there's this big build up, and then the plane just turns around.
The funny is that the music starts to play. Like the plane takes off, and they started to get the and then it's like almost like a post-credit scene with Lestrade in the bar.
Yeah.
Moriarty stuff, and then even Sherlock comments, "I've been gone for 4 minutes."
Yeah.
Mycroft calls him. So I think it was well done.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. It just was like,
It felt like a record scratch.
Yeah.
And then he
exactly.
Yeah. Like I could vaguely remember some of the scenes you were mentioning. So like I feel like by the time we're doing like the next one, I'm going to watch it. And I don't know if you watched my last video, but like Operation Turn My Girl Into a Nerd, I'm gonna make her sit her down with me. We'll watch it together. Season 1 till the finish. No, we're watching it. But and then I'll have a lot more to say, and I'll know where my boundaries are, so I'll know I'll know what I can say, what I can't say, because I don't want to mix up like seasons in my head and say something. So I'll be a lot more entertaining and into like the conversation the next one. But thank you guys for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
So the final live stream will be completely spoiling all 4 seasons. We will be talking about all 4 seasons. So Epic, you don't have to worry about it. I mean, I still highly recommend that you go watch it again because it's good.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, Ashley, if you haven't watched season 4, watch it before we do our next live stream.
What'd you think?
Oh, I love this season. It just keeps getting better and better for me. This season had all the emotions for me. I was laughing. I was tearing up. I really was tearing up at so many things. And there were times I was making sure nobody was looking at me and my family, because they all like to make fun of me when I cry at shows and TV. So I'm just like, there's something in my eye, But I loved it. I just love the show. I love it. I'm going to read after I watch it this time and then watch it again. I'm excited for season 4.
Jeff?
Yeah, Steve used a perfect word, evolution. Like this show has just, as it went along, I just think it keeps getting better and better and better, building on those characters, expanding the characters, bringing new characters in, like with Mary, and I really feel like it's hitting its zenith here in this season 3, and well executed. This is a production team that right from the drawing board, the writers, all the way through to the post effects and all that stuff, just really well done top to bottom. And I think it's a good example of more is not always more. I'm going back and watching some old like 80s, 90s series on Netflix and stuff, and it was like 25 episodes a season. Like, no wonder why it was tough to get good quality out of TV at times, because it was all about quantity. And we're at Sherlock, 3 90-minute episodes every 2 to 3 years. That's quality in the quality shows.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that. Quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm. So, Epic, do you have any final thoughts? I know that it's been a while since you watched, and you don't remember where.
I have final thoughts, but like I don't know. It's safe to. Let me just say, it might be safer to keep them to myself.
Okay. We'll give you plenty of time.
Sorry?
Keep it in your mind palace.
Yeah,
my mind palace. Like, I'll just touch a stone right now, remember everything.
Well, I agree with all of you. I did think that this was a good evolution to the show. I liked that. I felt like it became a little bit more pop culture, but not in a bad way, and in a way to make it more popular. I'm excited to see season 4 because it will be my first time. So I'm really excited to see where it goes. I'm wondering, I don't know if season 4, if the baby comes and how Sherlock's going to deal with that. So that'll be interesting if that, after seeing how he dealt with the current change, how he's going to deal with that, if that becomes part of the story in season 4. But yeah, I
nothing will change. You got time. Everything's gonna be the same.
He's gonna go buy a little hunter hat for the baby. But yeah, I'm excited, and of course it'll be so much fun chatting with you guys about season 4. Hopefully, Ashley and Epic, you guys will be able to join us, and Sean will be here next time.
Yeah.
So looking at the calendar, I can't pull up Creeping Death on my phone right now for some reason. But so July, I think July, the weekend of the 4th, we already have lots.
We have on the 3rd, we have, we're doing the Blood Song with Epic on the 3rd.
I'm reading that right now. It's so good.
I know.
We can do the 11th. We have Dr. Sleep. Are you going to be joining us for that, Jeff?
Yes, I have committed. I will join.
So we can do the 3rd after Blood Song. If you want to do that.
Is that? I know that's 4th of July weekend. Is that something everybody?
It's a Saturday. The 3rd is a Saturday. But yeah, if someone's traveling, we can do another weekend. We're busy.
I don't think I have anything that day, but I will double check. Ashley, let us know. You can send me a tweet if you want. Let us know if that weekend works for you. Same Jeff, Epic, and if not, I can reach out to you guys and for another date.
Yeah, we can figure it out off camera. We can figure it out. Like, I'm definitely down for sure. Like, I like you guys, and yeah, this will be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Those of you who are in the chat, if like we were saying, we're talking about the final live show for Sherlock, the BBC television series. We will be watching the last season, and hopefully meeting up for a live stream the first week or second week of July. And I will put that up on the forum for you guys. If anybody wants to join, you can join on screen. We have plenty of room for for people to share their ideas, or you can always join in the chats. But thank you guys for coming. Steve, I know that you're tired and you have another live show that you have to do. So I'll let you go take a break. He's got us ready. Jeff, thank you for making the time to join us again. Always fun. And Epic, thank you. This is your first time on my live stream.
Well,
Glad
yeah.
you came.
No, actually, it's not my first time in a live stream. It was my first time on like with you
On
guys.
mine.
On
This
yours,
is the first
yeah.
time on mine.
Yeah, but
I
this
will
was
remember this.
this I would say was the most fun live stream.
Oh, thank you.
So
It's because of these guys.
It's all Stacy.
Yeah.
And Jeff.
Yeah, it's all Jeff.
yeah.
Well, you guys have a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks, everybody.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Everyone.
Stay epic.